He stands directly in front of me.
You need to control your dog right now, is I think what I said.
I don't remember what you said. Hey guys, so today we are filming a little bit of a story time about the time my dog was almost attacked on my college campus. The way that my campus works is we have like a center of students with disabilities. So like we have like a center where you go and you have like this person who deals with all of your accommodations, and they kind of like decide what accommodations you're gonna have in what classes, how that kind of stuff works. So at the time when I first started going to college here, I had this person, this disability like advocate person that was supposed to give me all my accommodations. And let's just call her, Pam, okay?
I was gonna call her Suzanne.
I'm gonna call her Pam. So Pam, and the reason I picked that is because that name isn't even close. This video is not meant to like call out my university or call out anybody at my university, specifically this person. Like it's not, you know, I understand that there are like legal ramifications that they have to follow, and so it's going to be kind of difficult for them to do anything about this situation. So yeah. So this isn't meant to like bash anyone. This is my experience. So yeah, just wanted.
If you come after me, I kick you a butt with my assertiveness that I don't have.
So my disability advocate person was Pam. So when I started going to college, I had 2 rats and they were my emotional support animals, and in order to get them to be able to live in my dorm and to get all my other accommodations that I had for classes, I had to go through Pam. So I had to call Pam and like explain to her like, these are the accommodations I need, here's the documentation that I need to use, yada yada yada. And she kind of like helped me organize like contact with my professors for me. She got everything set up with the residence halls, all that stuff. So she seemed really nice. And then I came to see her my first year, and when I met with her, she had this dog with her, labeled a service dog. She explained to me that she brought the dog in to help people feel comfortable speaking with her. So she told me that I could pet the dog, and she told me that I could, you know, interact with the dog and like pet him anytime that I saw him on campus and whatever. And I was like, okay, because like at the time, I didn't have my own service dog. And like while I was like pretty okay educated, because I'd been on the list for a program dog for a couple years, and I had been taking like dog classes for a while. So I will say that I had been working with dogs for a while before I met Pam and her dog, but I kind of was misled to think that this dog was a service dog, when in reality it seemed to act more like a therapy dog. It was more for the clients who came in than the handler. And that's kind of why I'm thinking that, like, that's kind of why at this meeting I thought that that was a little strange. I kind of thought that it was, you know, probably fine. I was like, well, I don't know what the school's policy on animals is, so maybe it's fine. And then later things started to kind of go wrong. I knew this was kind of not kosher, but at the same time, I was just like, whatever, like maybe, you know, maybe something's different. She had this dog, and like I didn't notice anything like necessarily weird about it until I saw this dog walking around on campus, and it would like see other dogs, see other service dogs of other people who were on campus, like students, and it would just run up to them and start barking at them, or, you know, like lunge at them or whatever, or pull to try and get to them. And I was like, that's a little weird. But I didn't really say anything. until I got my own service dog. So when I got Arlo, I was kind of concerned. Nothing like really went like horribly wrong until I took Arlo in to go meet with her about the first time that I had disabled parking. So when I got my disability parking placard, I had to go talk to her about, and that was a whole debacle. I will put the video in the iCard. That was wild. I had to go meet with her because I needed like a specific parking placard thing to put in my window with my disability parking placard. We went to go meet with her, and Michaela and I actually went together, and I had my service dog. So Michaela had some interactions with this dog, with Pam's dog, the year before, because she got Toby and had Toby at college with her while I was still, I was at home, because when I got Arlo, I had a suicide attempt earlier that year. And so I was at home because I wasn't safe to be on campus by myself. So while I was training with Arlo, I stayed home and I did my classes online during that second semester. So the semester we were coming back was my first semester with Arlo, but Michaela had been on campus with her service dog in training, Toby, the semester before. So do you want to kind of talk about like your interactions with her during that semester that I wasn't on campus?
Well, prior to the semester that you weren't even on campus, I'd tried, before I had gotten a service dog, she was leading a bunch of programs for people transitioning into the college with disabilities, and I said, oh, you have a service dog, how did you get one? And she goes, don't talk to me right now. And so that was rude. Anyways, but with Toby, every time I went into the disability center, or maybe every other time, it was pretty frequent, this dog would walk past us and lunge out at Toby. And there's not much you can say because they're like a staff.
She's somebody in staff.
Yeah, so it's really difficult to stand up to someone who kind of makes the rules. This person was also like the assistant director of the department as well at the time. So it was really frustrating because I felt like every time I went in there, Toby would get lunged at. And so I'd have to like pull him to the side, or I'd have to like stand in front of him. And my previous trainer, we were on campus, it was her first time on campus, and she saw Pam's dog, her walking her dog, and she goes, oh my gosh, that's a fake. I never even told her like who that person was or like anything about the dog or the past history. She just goes, oh my gosh, that's a fake. Which was very startling to me.
That was kind of the semester before I moved on to campus, but then that
I think I saw
meeting...
you once that semester.
Yeah, I think I was on campus like one time. So that meeting that we had was like right before school started in September. I think it was maybe
August.
Like August, like
14th or something like
late
that.
August. I came up to campus and I had Arlo with me. He was still in training at the time, but I thought that it was really important for me to have him with me. And
the first thing that happened was that, like, it was kind of like an argument over email. Like, we requested that the dog not be there.
right, so because of what Michaela had said to me about this dog, I was afraid for Arlo's safety. So we had sent an email prior to this meeting requesting that the dog not be there. Right, like Arlo needed to be able to task and needed to be safe, like, you know, not attacked. So, in order for him to be safe, this dog, since it obviously, like, in my mind, and in the law, if a dog is aggressive or reactive towards other dogs, they are not allowed to be a service dog. That's just the law.
The dog's still here.
So the dog was reactive and aggressive towards other dogs. So not a service dog. Period. Point blank. I figured that it wasn't that big of a deal for us to ask her to not bring the dog because not a service dog. And she never said that the dog was in training. If she would have said something like, my dog is in training, he's still sort of reactive towards other dogs or something, that would have been different. But she always labeled him as a service dog, didn't say in training ever. First of all, as someone who's on staff, your dog, like on staff at a like Center for Students with Disabilities, she probably sees people who have service dogs all the time. Because this is like supposedly a very accessible campus. So, you know, it just, to me, it doesn't make sense why someone who is like really, you know, supposed to be really knowledgeable, like doesn't have this kind of stuff down. Like that's kind of weird.
And of course, we have other instances of our campus not being knowledgeable, of course.
Right. But this one is very specific. So basically, we had sent that email and they said, well, sorry, like the dog has to be there. And I'm like, and so at that time, I did in fact request a different advisor, like a different
because like in the eyes of the law, you're allowed to do that.
Right. I requested a different CSD like person, so a different person to manage my accommodations, just for, and I explained this in the email, for my safety and for her safety, you know, for like the safety of both of us and our dogs. Like it seemed like she was really confused because like they didn't do that. They still had me meet with, well actually they told me that I wasn't meeting with her. They told me via the email that I was meeting with somebody else, but it turned out to be this person. It turned out to be Pam. So they lied to me. Great. So basically what happened was we go into this meeting and I have Arlo. Michaela was there. Arlo and I roll up with Michaela and we go in and the dog is there and I explain, like, we're meeting with Pam, and I explained to Pam, I'm like, hey, you know, just letting you know, like, is the dog, you know, and I said the dog's name is the dog here, and she was like, oh, like, that's how she responded to me. She was like, oh, like, no. And I was like, okay. So we go in, we have the meeting, everything seems relatively fine.
I mean, the meeting wasn't.
The meeting didn't go well because
we were asking for something that the university couldn't provide, and at the time we didn't have enough knowledge to... Well,
technically, they couldn't provide it to you. They should have been able to provide it for me, because I had a letter. So, we were asking for something that was difficult for them to provide, and Pam did not have the knowledge to know how to do that. So, again, another reason as to why it's kind of weird that she still works at this Center for Students with Disabilities when she doesn't have the knowledge, she doesn't have the resources, and also she's misinformed about service dogs. Basically, we leave the appointment, we're walking out.
We literally exit the doorway, what happened.
We walk out the door, and we're standing, like, right here. Like, we walk out this door, and we're standing, like, right here. And in this room, like, right here, a woman, somebody, I don't know, walks out with the dog, like, on a leash, pulling after Arlo.
And I go, not gonna happen.
So she stands directly in front of me.
You need to control your dog right now, is I think what I said.
I don't remember what you said. And then she walks by and says, like, is the dog still here? Like, that's what she said.
No, when she came out the door, she went, oh, it's that dog.
Or the dog's still here, or something like that. So it was really awkward that the woman would say something like that, and then she, like, this dog was barking and lunging after Arlo.
And, like, they closed the door, but that dog, like, was screaming.
Yeah, she pulled the dog back in the room and shut the door, and the dog was still barking and freaking out that Arlo was there. And it's like, seriously? Like, that dog is not a service dog.
Like, if that's...
The dog was vested.
Yeah, the dog was
and on
vested.
a retractable leash, which, okay, no shade to people who use retractable leashes for their dogs working, like, whatever. If you do that and you're responsible with it, fine. I personally don't do that, but whatever. But, like, that's not safe. For a dog that is reactive and aggressive, a retractable leash is a really unsafe option, especially if they're out in public, in a space that you know service dogs are going to be. So
it's a really bad image for the university to have a fake service dog on staff.
Yeah, it's just, yikes.
And, like, this is not the only story we have of fake service dogs on campus. We could sit here all day.
So that was the first time that Arlo and I as a team came in contact with that dog. So after that, we came in contact with this dog several other times because I would commonly go to the library because they had, in the library and the Center for Students with Disabilities are connected. So I would commonly go to the library because they had like really good food there. They had like
nice
tea,
seating.
like nice seating. It was just, I liked the library. Plus they had
Pet therapy.
they had pet therapy there, and
We just didn't bring the dogs those days. Oh, we did
no,
once.
I brought Arlo.
Oh, you did?
So they had pet therapy there every once in a while, and they would have some dogs come in that were all therapy dogs through a program. And I had asked like a couple of the owners there if they were comfortable with me training with Arlo, because he was still in training at the time. They were comfortable with me training with Arlo around that area, and they were like, while they were there, and they were like, yeah, sure, go ahead. Arlo did great. The other dogs did awesome. It was nice time. So this Pam and her dog would commonly be in the hallway between the Center for Students with Disabilities and the library. So I would go through that hallway and I would see them a lot. And basically every time that I would see them, like this dog would react and freak out and lunge at Arlo and bark and pull at Arlo. And I was like,
Causing a disturbance.
yeah. And I would stand between Arlo and this dog, and I would tell her, like, can you please control your dog? Like, I would just say it very calmly, like, can you please control your dog, and just keep walking. And I remember one time seeing Pam and her dog just, like they saw me, because they were at the library, and I was walking in the door in front of Center for Students with Disabilities, so they were walking this way, and I was walking this way. She saw me, and she booked it past me, which, mind you, you know, I immediately turned around and was about to go out the door and, like, come back through the outside so that she could just walk through. No, she wanted us to meet. There were other ways she could have gone. She could have left the building and walked out, because there's two doors. So there's one in front of the library and one in front of the Center for Students with Disabilities. She could have walked out that door, gone outside, and gone back through. But no, I went out, and she books it like she wants us to meet up before I walk out the door. Okay, so basically, I'm really frustrated because my university, like, it isn't taking care of this. And we've mentioned it before.
We continued to try to get her disability coordinator switched, and finally, by the grace of God, they got sick of us and were like, fine.
So originally what happened is they changed my disability coordinator to the head of the department at the time, which was the acting head of the department. The head of the department before had, like, moved up and was acting as
The dean of students.
The dean of students.
Like the literal dean of students.
So I was working with the acting head of the department.
You met with once.
Right. She was a...
BITCH.
She was not helpful. She basically, like... I told her, because that day I had driven onto campus because I couldn't walk that way myself. Like, I couldn't make it. Because I do have, you know, disabilities. Shocker, I know.
What?
I know. So I explained, she was like, oh, you got here, like, so fast, like, you know, and you came up, like, a weird way, which I came up from the parking lot. And she was like, you came up a weird way, like, what happened? Like, did you get lost? And I was like, no, I drove here. And she's like, oh, why did you do that? And I'm like, because I had to. I had to come here today, and I wasn't going to be able to walk all the way across campus, because it's literally on the other side of campus from where our dorms are. So some days I can't walk that far. I have a disability parking placard, so I can park anywhere on campus, so I'm able to utilize that. So she just was really unhelpful, and I think part of it is because when I had that issue with Pam, I kind of burned some bridges because, like, she was doing some really not cool things, and, you know, me wanting to switch my coordinator at the time probably didn't make her very happy. So that happened, and basically I started working with this acting head of the department, and I kind of explained that wasn't going very well. And then I got moved.
That really burned a bridge.
Right, and then I got moved to...
You saw mine for a little bit, who wasn't helpful.
One time.
And then you moved to your current person.
Yeah, so I moved to my current
And in the beginning you had
person.
a lot of trust issues with her.
Yeah, so I had a lot of issues, like, trusting her with things, but now we've definitely gotten past that point, so that's good. And I guess I just, like, if I had any, like, lasting messages for my university, it's just, like, you need to be really careful, because you say that you're a really accessible university. You have fakes on campus, and one of them is owned by somebody on your staff. Like, that's really distressing.
Now, we're not saying, okay, get rid of the dog, completely move it to Kalamazoo, you know, but, like, if the dog needs to be there, and we're not gonna, like, go into, like, well, what's your disability, because we don't need to know that. That's not for us to know. But the dog needs to be trained.
The dog has to be trained. And obviously, this person, Pam, is not training the dog to the point where it's safe. So, if she does actually need this dog, which, you know, I don't know her life story, but from what she told me the first time that I met with her, she uses the dog mostly as a therapy dog for people who come into her office. So, to me, that just doesn't seem necessary.
Like, if it's going to be a therapy dog, it needs to be a therapy dog, and it also needs to be trained.
Trained through a program, you know, because that's how therapy dogs work in the United States.
Having a therapy dog at the university without proper documentation isn't...
Yeah, and
kosher.
Proper, like, you know, because basically they need to accommodate the people that they're working for. So if you can't accommodate somebody who has a service dog, then don't call yourself a Center for Students with Disabilities, because people with disabilities have service dogs.
You can say, oh, the Center for Students with Disabilities without service dogs. Or guide dogs. Or any kind of animal.
So it was just really uncomfortable. So that is my fake service dog on campus story. I hope you guys liked that.
If you like hearing content about college, you should let her know.
Yeah, because I don't really do story times very often. I mostly do like vlogs or other videos like that. But if you guys liked this sort of style of video, let me know, and I'll do some more of these, because I do have other like stories. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys in whatever we make next.